When Donald Trump named Michael Waltz as his national security advisor back in January, he's not in that job anymore, of course, Waltz had to leave his safe Republican congressional seat in Florida. Half a year later, Waltz is out of the administration. His old House district is now represented by the legislator in this video.
Any type of facilitation, that was...
Good, you're done too. Next, 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds is disgusting.
Yeah, well, yeah. Come on up. Enjoy your terrorist rag. Come on, let's go. You're next. Come on. What's your name? I'm the chairman. I can say what I want. If you don't like it, you can leave.
The guy calling that a terrorist rag is Randy Fine. He's a Trump-endorsed, extremely online far-right troll who has spent his short time in Congress launching a similar barrage of sort of predictably disgusting and bigoted statements. Earlier this week, when Congresswoman Ilhan Omar criticized Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Fine responded on social media telling her, quote, "I'm sure it is difficult to see us welcome the killer of so many of your fellow Muslim terrorists." When Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries demanded Fine apologize, he wrote, quote, "The Hamas caucus is upset. Boo-hoo." Fine has repeatedly called Omar and her colleague Rashida Tlaib and New York mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani Muslim terrorists. He said, quote, "Mamdani would do to New York City what Khomeini and Khamenei did to Tehran. We cannot let radical Muslims turn America into a Shiite caliphate." He's also said protesters blocking roads is an act of terror. Quote, "In Florida, I helped to pass a bill to allow you to run them over. Now I'm taking it national. The Thump Thump Act is coming." There are many more disgusting, bigoted, Islamophobic, particularly statements he's made. I can't read to you. Democrats are rightly calling out Fine's bigotry, but Republicans seem to have basically normalized this. Like there really was a time in my lifetime when this would be a scandal. And it's not a scandal anymore. It's a selling point. And sometimes you just really have to just take a step back to take in how degraded things have gotten. Brendan Buck worked in communications for House Speakers John Boehner and Paul Ryan. Alex Wagner is a senior political analyst for MSNBC, and they both join me now. Brendan, let me ask you, do you think, I feel like 15 years ago, 16 years ago, this calling a member of Congress a Muslim terrorist would be a scandal. There'd be like calls to deal with it and things like that. But am I wrong about that?
No, I mean, this should be a record scratch moment. It's not. I mean, look, I worked for two speakers. There were plenty of times where, a speaker had to maybe even just quietly bring a member in and kind of remind them of what their expectations are around here and things we do and don't do. I'm just not sure that Mike Johnson or anybody in the leadership is really in a position to be able to do that right now. Look, I don't want you to. I sincerely don't believe that he sees this as or most Republicans there should see this as a selling point. Maybe this does something for him online. I imagine the reaction from most of their members is, ranging from gross to that's really inconvenient for me. I don't think any of them are cheering for it, but none of them are probably in a position where they can actually do or say anything about it, because there's really only one speed right now, and that's you're on the attack all the time, and anybody who shows weakness is somehow aiding and abetting the opponent here, and they're just not going to be willing to do that. So yeah, they're going to look the other way. This should be a layup. Like, Kevin McCarthy basically ran Steve King out of Congress for some of the things that he said. That wasn't that long ago. That is the way that it used to be. It's just not anymore.
Alex, what do you think?
This is a guy that in Florida, Governor DeSantis has called someone who repels people, but he also happens to be one of the architects of the Don't Stay Gay Act and the Stop Woke Act, which are now Republican orthodoxy. I mean, I got to say, Chris, I thought about his kind of anti-Muslim, which is being generous, tirade against Ilhan Omar in the context of his broader, I guess we'll say, struggle against what he calls anti-Semitism. This is happening in the context of like Elon Musk's Grok, Nazi Grok AI chatbot going out there and spewing hate speech. It has been fed that hate speech because conservatives demanded a information-free, free speech platform, which Elon Musk created for them. And where, I ask, is Randy Fine in the context of that fight against anti-Semitism? He's nowhere, because it's not about anti-Semitism. It's not about principle. It's a completely tribal fight, us versus them. And that's the essential battle here. It's cloaked in anti-Semitism. It's cloaked in a sort of religious fervor. But it's truly about owning the libs. That's all it is, in the cruelest, basest way possible. Which is, and by the way, dovetails with the agenda of Stop Woke and Don't Say Gay. This is all about a sort of tribal groupthink. And he's been involved in all of it. And I don't think we should think of that as a coincidence.
Let me ask you this, Rouse. I want to follow up with you and then I'll come back to you, Brendan. One of the things I think that they've unlocked on the right is that if there aren't people inside your own party calling something into question, it goes away as a scandal. Like, the only logs that can get thrown to a fire of a scandal are like George Santos, right? Like, if people on your own side are calling, then it's a scandal. But if you keep everyone together, no matter what, it goes away. I don't think Democrats have sort of figured that out, nor maybe should they. But that does seem like part of the dynamic here.
Totally. If you don't have someone that sort of bucks the trend, and someone who raises the flag and says this isn't okay from a corner that isn't normally ringing the alarm bell, then it goes by without passage. And I do think when Randy Fine came to Congress, the expectation was a real fighter's coming to Washington, right? This is part of the brand, and it's seen as MAGA. This is the DNA of MAGAism: fight, fight, fight. I mean, I don't know, Brendan. I mean, I respect everything Brendan has to say about Congress, but I don't know that there isn't some kind of lust for more of this attitude, which is, again, tribalism at all costs.
Well, there's a question, right, Brendan, if the lust for that attitude, and I think there is lust for this attitude, if it comes from the voters in the primaries, right, or it comes from I'm not necessarily sure where it comes from. It does seem like it's coming in some ways from voters in low turnout primaries. I'm not sure if it's coming from somewhere else. It's also coming from the culture.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, this was a candidate, at least, that people saw a lot of red flags with. I mean, let's remember, this was a person we actually feared was going to lose in a ruby red seat in Florida. He ended up, I think, winning somewhat comfortably, but there was a lot of concern about his ability to actually win that seat. So I do still believe, again, that he is a bit of an outlier here. He is not sort of your median House Republican, as much as we sort of paint them as all sort of nuts. But the problem, I think...
No, I would never say Randy Fine is a median House Republican, to be clear.
Okay, I appreciate that. I mean, look, we've been having this back and forth now for like 6 years, where we're just throwing censures back and forth at people. And at some point, if you're engaging in this, you are doing a censure because you want to take the moral high ground, right? You're censuring Ilhan Omar because you think she has said something so repugnant. You would think then that you would be in a position where if one of your members says something like that, you are going to self-police. But if you're not self-policing your own side, this is all just sort of a partisan game where, you're playing gotcha with whoever said the next thing, because the consequences matter less and less. It used to be a big deal if you got censured. Well, now it's something that's kind of like a badge of honor. So of course it hasn't stopped.
This, I think, is the broader thing that I think we're seeing is the degradation of the notion of taboo or offense or anything or scandal to sort of omnidirectionally in a way that I think is probably not for the best for the society. But we'll take that up another day. Brendan Buck and Alex Wagner, thank you both. Appreciate it.